So the other day, I made a post about men self deleting and how it is now supposedly society's problem. I put this clip in there where this man is talking about how now men are self deleting at 3 or 4 times the rate of women, and whatever. Society is to blame, but they won't name it. They won't say patriarchy is to blame. They won't say men are typically the men's issues or the creators of the men's issues. No, for some strange reason, they imply that women are the problem, that women walking away from marriage is the problem, or whatever. Even though on any other time, they don't want to be married and women are nags and a ball and chain. Like literally, their logic ain't hidden. Anyways, this is one of the comments on my YouTube that just hit. It just hit. So this woman says, okay, sure, let's treat men's mental health how they treated women's mental health. Take your pick, men. Men's approach to women's mental health in the 1900s, in 1900 BC. Women are plagued by hysteria. All right, so women are plagued by hysteria and experimented on. Men's approach to women's mental health. In 500 BC, women are plagued by demons. Unalive them. Men's approach to women's health in the 1400s. Women are witches. Unalive them. Men's approach to women's mental health in the 1700s. Women are witches. Unalive them. Men's approach to women's mental health in 1890. Women should be drugged and raped to remove hysteria. Men's approach to women's mental health in the 1930s. Lobotomize women to remove hysteria. Men's approach to women's mental health in the 1960s. Postpartum depression is fake and women are crazy. Men's approach to women's mental health in the 1980s. Hysterical women theory is finally put to rest in the medical field. Men's approach to women's mental health today. Women cause their own issues. And I will point out that the medical community has been dominated by white men since forever. And so they have always put men and white men as the default human, and everything that women have done have been like a tangent or like slightly messed up version of men, and they've never really treated women as equal. And hysteria isn't real. Hysteria is just something that they don't really want to look into, but it's just kind of a catch-all for things that women do or things impacting women. And so they have never really approached women's mental health with any care because women are just kind of like defective men. So men probably should start thinking about therapy and mental health as far as men in a way that is holistic to their health and well-being overall. But it would take them going back and like self-correcting some of the things they have done to women, because at this particular juncture women are not going to fix men, because women cannot fix men, because women have never been equal to men according to men. So how are we gonna help them? How are we gonna help them? Y'all let me know. This person says, effing hell. Men love their pity parties. The reason why men are depressed, lonely, sad, self deleting, repressed is other men. But they'll never admit it, and they'll continue shrieking about women and how we're to blame and that we don't care, even if the evidence is right in front of them. And that guy in the beginning said, good men are backing away from women. First off, there's no such thing as a good man. Oops. Secondly, don't threaten us with a good time. Do you think women are going to start crying and jumping off cliffs because men don't want us anymore? In your dreams, bud. Maybe we'll finally have peace and freedom we and the women before us have always wanted. I I am just saying women are like not running to get into relationships right now. It is just it's just not a good time for that. Women are like, I'm good. I'm good being single. I'll take my cats. No, you're not threatening me with a good time. I appreciate my cats and my peace. And this is where a lot of the comments are. And men don't understand that all of the threats of being single and dying alone are not hitting the way they used to. Now, this woman, her comment kind of made me chuckle. She says, the contentious woman comment is paraphrased from the Old Testament. My Bible said it is better to live on the roof or in the attic with a contentious woman. My ex husband quoted it to me once. I told him I'd rather live in a basement or a hole in the ground than to be with an abusive, delusional man. He knew I meant him. I told him I told him if I was so contentious to go live on the roof or in an attic, while he's up there, he can solve both of our problems and jump MFer. He knew I was a see you next Tuesday long before we got married. He hid his psychotic aggressive behavior for 2 years until after we got married. After I told his butt to jump, I asked if he wanted to try to use Bible quotes again to try to shame me into being under his thumb since it seemed to always go so well for him. He decided to keep religion out of his emotional mental abuse attempts. Okay. They better not. Don't come wrong at these women. These women are not playing with these dudes. So this woman is reading through the comment section and she said, "Wow, I had no idea about just how recently it was that women could not have bank accounts on their own or get loans on their own. Why have we not learned this, and why are we not reminding people of this in every conversation around gender and money? I mean, I know why. It's patriarchy." And then to that, I said, we don't really get this information in high school. I had to learn this stuff in women's studies classes in college. I had to learn a lot of this stuff because I read books after college. Sexism and racism are baked into the cake in this country. So our country's curriculum doesn't study the history that has been inflicted on many of us in this country, because why would they will talk about all of the bad things that the other countries have done, the dictators in the other country, but they don't talk about it here. And when you do take those classes, or you do have a special month dedicated to talking about gender gender history or a specific non-white person, then it's seen as woke. Or they talk about it as being feminist and that feminists are so bad. And that's only because that is to deflect away from the reasons why women fought so hard to get these rights. That women could be just institutionalized simply because her husband didn't like her. And the reason why women had to go for men with money is because that was a survival technique. We had no choices because we were second class citizens. And if you were black and a woman, or any other non white woman, you had even less rights. But we don't talk about this because that would be the country that's actually reflecting on the history of what it has done to people that were not Christian white men of means. Because, yes, it's all on a scale. You know, even if you were a poor white woman, you still got treated like but don't be a poor, disabled, queer black woman. You're going to be treated even worse. So that's the reason why this is not taught, because then America would have to grapple with how it has treated people up to now, or even still now. But it definitely doesn't want to talk about its history, especially when we make ourselves, this country makes itself the saviors of other people. And we got all this mess going on in our own country. Y'all jump in and let me know what you think about this one. I know this one kind of hit hard. And don't forget to like, comment, and share. So in this country, we do not have healthcare, universal healthcare, because racism is baked into the cake. And it is hitting white people in the butts as well. And these are all decisions that were done to us hundreds of years ago, like in the 1800s. This is baked into the cake because they didn't want to give us all health care, because some of the colored people that they didn't see as people would get some care. Now, fast forward to 2020s, and even before that, when Obamacare was happening, white people were like, no, no, we're not doing this. But their deaths of despair are higher, as in white men. Their self deletion rates are higher than almost everyone, and their mental health would drastically improve if there was universal health care, because it hits everybody that is poor pretty much the same way, despite race. Despite race. But they don't want to give an inch because they don't want colored folks to get any of the care. And so, just like sexism is built into the medical field, so is racism. And until all of that gets unpacked, there is no saving these people from themselves because they will not let go of that little bit of supremacy and privilege that they think that they are having. And so it is causing their mental and their physical health to dwindle consistently. And that's the reason why so many more of them are self deleting and dying these deaths of despair. Now, I'm going to attach Lavert the Baseman's video. It's going to be in the caption, so just watch this whole thing through. And if you're on my YouTube page, I'm just going to attach this because this is truly, this is history, and they don't teach this history because they would have to like come clean about all of the things that they have done to Black people in this country. And this is systemic. This is not one individual having a racist thought. No, the medical community, legislation, this is legislators, this is employers and companies coming together to say no. We do not want them coloreds to have anything. And so we're just going to make sure that nobody has anything. And it has hurt them. It's hurt themselves. And it's wild that they will not let go of the supremacy that they think that they have and just will continue to like not have universal health care for everybody. I don't know why these people are like that, but they're just like, nope, nope, nope. We're just going to all be sick. We're just going to all have mental health issues. Nope, nope, we don't. Nope, nope. Colored people don't get this. Nope, nope, nope. Y'all let me know what you think about this.
Hey, good morning, Nikki Haley. Remember when you said that America is not and has never been a racist nation? Well, if that's the case, why don't we have universal health care? The answer is simple. Racism. See, in the 1880s, white America had a problem that they just couldn't solve, which they called the Negro problem. They said that in 1865, we whites gave the blacks their freedom, and we also passed slave codes, black codes, and Jim Crow laws to prevent their upward mobility in this country. And now here we are in the 1880s, and we don't understand why these Negroes haven't done anything with themselves. We gave them their freedom. What more do they want? And white people at the time said, well, you know, they're genetically inferior to us. So if we simply deny them health care, they'll die off in a generation or two. And that will solve white America's Negro problem. Don't believe me? Watch this.
It really began in the 1880s, 1890s when medicine became a thing. And there was this guy named Frederick Ludwig Hoffman who came over here from Germany. And he was a young man. He was 17, in fact, when he came over, and was a numbers genius. And he hooked up with the Prudential Life Insurance Company, ended up being a vice president. And he was the guy who figured out that there was an association, a statistical association between working in a cotton mill and having lung problems, asbestos and mesothelioma, smoking and lung cancer. He published on that in the 1910s, in the 1890s and 1910s. And diet and cancer. In fact, his book on the association between a high processed food diet and cancer is still in print. He's been dead since 1946, but his book is still around. So he's really smart in these things. And so he married this Southern belle from Georgia who was from a racist plantation family. And so he ran the numbers on black people and found that black people were dying, dropping like flies, more likely to be sick, more likely to die of pretty much everything, and concluded, which was the general consensus at the time among a lot of white people in the South, this is again in the 1890s, that black people were genetically inferior. And in 1896, he published a book called Race, Tendencies, and Traits of the American Negro, in which he lays out all the numbers, and then he concludes that if we simply avoided allowing black people to have any access to health care, that within 2 or 3 generations, the whole race would die out, and that would solve the race problem in America. Now, it sounds kind of crazy when I just lay it out like that right now, But this led to a whole bunch of things. By the 1920s, this was referred to as scientific racism. He was testifying about it before Congress. When Teddy Roosevelt, 1912, proposed a national healthcare system, people said no because black people will get it. When Franklin Roosevelt proposed a national healthcare system, it was the same thing. We don't want black people to get it. When Truman tried it in 47, same thing. Don't want black people to get it. Right up until 1965, Senator Stennis, the Dixiecrats in the South, was quoting Hoffman, who was by then dead, but is still very famous in this field, as saying this. We have to figure out a way to keep black people from using Medicare. This is when they were passing Medicare. And the way that they came up with was to have a 20% hole, a gap in Medicare, so that you had to pay 20% of your doctor's bill and your hospital bill. And that would discourage poor black people from showing up at the hospitals. I mean, it was the most shocking thing I discovered, Cenk, when I was doing the research on this book, is that nearly 100% of the reason why the United States is the only country in the world that doesn't define healthcare as a right and doesn't have any sort of national healthcare system to speak of is because of racism. And that's why you've got 12 states that still haven't expanded Medicaid, right? Free health insurance for low-income people, all former slave states.
One of those states is South Carolina, the state you currently govern. Matter of fact, you said as long as I'm the governor of South Carolina, we will not expand Medicaid on Obama's watch. We will not expand Medicaid ever. You also said that we fought the Affordable Care Act in South Carolina as much as we possibly could. We said no to the state exchanges. We said no to the Medicaid expansion. They just turned and set every state back with this bill that we knew wouldn't work. When it came to the Affordable Care Act, we just didn't say no, we said never. And we're going to keep on fighting until we get people like Senator Tim Scott and everybody else in Congress to defund the Affordable Care Act. You also said that you would end a disastrous health care program and replace it with reforms that lowered costs and actually let you keep your doctor. You vowed to never expand Medicaid coverage as long as you were the governor of South Carolina, which left millions of your constituents uninsured and forced them to pay crazy amounts of money out of pocket in order to receive the essential care they needed to survive. Why are you fighting so hard to ensure the people of South Carolina don't have access to adequate health care? Is it because you're afraid, like they were in the 1910s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, that black people would have access to affordable health care? Is that your fear? If so, Nikki Haley, that's racist.